NFL terms. Even Travis, the team not player on the awesome giant.
Curse so much for a guy who doesn't need to.
Because I only believe in authenticity. It's how I talk.
And welcome to the show. It's me, Kent, and Zach, the Zach show, the Kent and Zach show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have some guests in the background at Zach's, I think. Yep, there it is.
We got a dog, always.
What's that one?
This is Hella.
Hello.
She had to see what was going on.
Absolutely. Again, I want to welcome you to the first pilot episode of Kent and Zach show. We decided on doing this, a few days ago. Not really. We've been talking about it for a while, and we recorded some stuff, and then we decided, you know what, let's just go live and make it happen. So we're happy that you're joining us. Say what's up in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. You're more than welcome to join in on the conversation at any time in the comments. If you'd like to join the show, even let us know. We might be able to get you on here. So anyway, it's just going to be a show about me and Zach, our opinions and politics on local, state, and national levels, how we kind of view things. Neither one of us feel like we identify with a duopoly, that one of the major parties that currently controls Washington D.C.
We're mad.
We're mad and angry at the Reds and the Blues. So, we're going to have a lot of discussion about political events and current laws and things that are going on in our world and how they're affecting us and maybe people like us, and, just have a good time with it. So thank you for joining us. And let's get this thing rocking and rolling with a hot topic that's been burning Zach's mind for quite a while now, and that is Commissioner Troy Unruh.
We're going to start with Troy? All right.
City, Kansas. Commissioner Troy recently was convicted of theft from LiveWell Foundation in Garden City, Kansas, where they provide outreach programs for healthcare, learning, education, healthy lifestyles, and more in the Finney County area. Was ordered to pay restitution, less than $1,500. And there was some other reporting on the issue, and it's driving Zach crazy. So, Zach, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you explain the full story behind Commissioner Unruh and LiveWell Foundation in Garden City.
It's so much more than, he was charged with a misdemeanor, and a misdemeanor means that you committed a theft of less than $1,500. Now, I did security for 3 years, and I stopped a lot of shoplifters. And every single one of those shoplifters that were charged with the misdemeanor, if they actually stole something and I didn't get it back and I could prove it, say exactly what it was, they would tally it all up. And then when they would finally would have their day in court, they would give them a order to pay restitution back to the company in the amount that I could prove that I took. But that doesn't even include all the things that I couldn't prove. So you have to be able to prove how much you take. I bring all of that up to say he has to pay Livewell back $18,000. Now, why does he have to give Livewell $18,000 if he stole less than $1,500?
Exactly.
It sounds to me like he pled down to a misdemeanor to be charged with less than $1,500 under the guise that he would pay back every single penny. But none of this should be any of our business, except for the part where Troy Unruh is city council. City council makes financial decisions, especially towards charity groups like Livewell. So our mayor, Shannon Dick, and Matt Allen said that his serving on the city council doesn't affect any of these. And I know I can name other city employees that have been actually fired because they were caught stealing in the community. They lost their job completely. So why does Troy Unruh get a pass? Why does he not have to make a public apology at the bare minimum and step down? In my opinion, cannot serve. Well, maybe run for office again after he's served his time because he's got a year probation and he pays everything back or whatever. But I want to know the whole story as to what happened.
Yeah.
And why it's $18,000. I want a public apology from Troy Unruh, and he needs to step down because you cannot be a leader and conduct yourself in these manners. We as normal citizens aren't allowed to do that. I sure as hell don't expect our city officials to do that.
Absolutely not. It was a public smear on our community, really, and what does it say about us that it wasn't addressed? On the commission, he can control where funding goes. And
it was so blatantly swept under the rug and just shut up about. And, we used to have a newspaper in this town and we had real reporters who would have chased things like that. But we let that go. No reporter from Hutchinson came down, and that's where the paper's based out of now.
No, it's, base reporting on feel-good stories, I guess, is what we get out of Hutchinson these days for what is the Garden City Telegram online. I don't know. I haven't even been to the website in so many years. It's got, with the building gone, I mean, it's like it didn't even exist. It's kind of sad, I used to deliver papers for the Telegram.
That was my very, very first job.
Yeah, me too.
$80 a month.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm totally with you. I think more needs to be said from the county commission. It needs to be addressed in the public a lot more than it has been, specifically at one of their meetings. And he should, do the honorable thing and step down. And if he does choose to run for a re-election, you do your time. You pay a crime, you do your time. Absolutely. But Livewell is a great foundation for our community, and we just need to move forward from Troy Unruh and that particular incident. So elsewhere in Kansas, we're going to talk a little bit about Kris Kobach, the Perpetual candidate in our government. As you know, he is running
the herpes of Kansas. he just keeps coming back
for Kansas. He is running for Attorney General this cycle. Previously, you may remember him from the governor election. Was that in 2006? When was that? 2018? 2020? It wasn't 2020. It was 2018. You're muted, Zach.
Sorry. That would have been 2018.
2018.
No, that's not true because that would have been 2016 because he went to a Trump rally and Trump stumped for him. I was at that rally.
Correct. So
not in favor of either of them. I was
doing a news thing. We'll get down to more to Zach's secret life on the political trail.
It was fun.
Down the road, not another episode, more than likely, but just for the short show that we want to do for you guys tonight, it's unbelievable that this guy made a ballot again in Kansas. I mean, he's running for Attorney General. When he was it Secretary of State, he was ordered to go back to school, for God's sakes. to learn
He
how
was
to be
held
a
in
lawyer.
contempt of court for not going back to school.
Yeah, it's unbelievable,
And Kansas taxpayers funded the bill for all of his frivolous lawsuits that he did. I don't even remember how many hundreds of lawsuits totaling millions of dollars, and his law firm was the law firm that had to that was hired for each of these cases. How convenient.
Yep. Yeah.
Just
And
oozes corruption.
absolutely. I mean, it's just ridiculous that we have to deal with Kris Kobach here again, which brings me to Tony Mativiti. I think I'm saying that right. Tony Mativiti. It's hard for me to pronounce his last name. I'll get it down, I promise. I think he's going to be here in a couple of weeks, and I'm excited to meet him. Tony was the prosecutor of the Somali terrorist threat that we had here in Garden City, Kansas, that would have wiped out probably a quarter of this town. So it's because of
If
him.
you live in Garden City and you can't support him on that alone, then you're not paying attention.
He held to his guns and prosecuted these guys to the fullest extent of the law, and that to me, that's huge. And so in that race for Kansas Attorney General, if you're a Republican in this August 2nd primary, please vote for Tony Mativiti if you are in Garden City. He's got connections here and has done amazing things for our community. Some would say hero type things for our community. So vote for Tony, Attorney General. Moving on down our list, we're going to talk a little bit about the Roe versus Wade overturn in the Supreme Court that's recently happened. As everybody knows, and everybody's been debating on Facebook, you've seen stuff from both me and Zach and other outlets all over social media. And again,
why have I posted about that? I don't remember.
Yeah, me neither. I do want to thank everybody
once
here.
An hour.
Especially the few of you that have hung on with us from the get. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry we can't see your comments on our personal pages coming through off of Facebook. We promise we're going to have another outlet for this show, probably more geared towards YouTube. So it'll be a link there, and you'll have to catch us there. Maybe live, maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But thank you again for being here, and we want to continue our conversation about Roe v. Wade. And the absolute just renegade Supreme Court that we currently have in the United States. Zach, what are your thoughts on this conservative Supreme Court?
I think back to that YouTube person, that news clip that came so viral. He just hide your kids, hide your wife, because they coming after everybody. The Supreme Court is going after everything that we have worked so hard, and I'm not even saying we as our generation personally, our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation fought so hard to get some of these things passed. Like Clarence Thomas said, they're going after everything except for he failed to mention interracial marriage, which is strange because it's the one thing he doesn't want to do. He happens to be married to a white lady, just real convenient. So I guess the right taking stops when they don't inconvenience Clarence Thomas. We have 3 Supreme Court justices that were put on in recent history. All 3 of them were asked where they stood on Roe versus Wade, and all 3 of them said Roe is law of the land. Oh, 4 of them. Yeah, that's right. 4. God, man, time flies so much. I can't believe they got 4 because we got robbed.
Yeah. So, I think it's time to expand this Supreme Court. I think that's the only real thing we can do here. It is a lifetime appointment, which maybe we should address and change, possibly maybe every 10 years revisit. I don't know what that exactly looks like, but I definitely think an expansion is overdue of our Supreme Court. It was expanded, 7 times up until the 1860s somewhere. Or 1890s somewhere, and then we just stopped. And
all I'm saying is if you were a business owner and a 74-year-old walked into your business and applied for a job, you would be super apprehensive about giving them that job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are talking about the highest jobs in the land.
We are. So, which brings us to more of a local aspect, which what we have in Kansas, and Roe, or the Value Them Both amendment coming up on August 2nd. It's a primary ballot, which typically scares independents like Zach and I away from voting because it's a primary. We don't typically think that we can vote on anything in a primary. It's directly related to a party, right, Republican or Democrat. And that's just not true, especially this year. Value Them Both. I think it's KRCA 603. 6003, I think, is the bill exactly, which would allow for our legislator to legislate laws, pass laws and bills that ban incest, ban abortion in regards to incest, rape, and medical emergencies. The amendment itself does not push all that through immediately, but those bills can come to the floor immediately and can be passed immediately if Value Them Both goes through, which is a very dangerous situation that we are in here in Kansas right now. As we know, 16 other states in the United States have passed laws as such since Roe v. Wade ended, and Kansas has always been a free state, and I kind of want to see it remain that way, especially in regards to Value Them Both and a woman's health care. Now, Zach and I have several comments that we're going to make, but we're going to show you some video that we have from last night from the Republican debate for
Before you tee up the video, just so everybody understands on this vote yes, vote no, whichever way you're going, you're not voting on whether abortion should be banned in Kansas right away. You're voting on constitutional amendment to our state's constitution to remove the right to bodily autonomy from our constitution, because it is written in Kansas Constitution that every Kansan has a right to their bodily autonomy.
That's
So
right.
it has far-reaching implications, and that's what's about to be talked about here. I just want to kind of cue that up.
Absolutely. So we're going to cut away to Corrine Ray, Republican nominee for Kansas House of Representatives. She is running in District 122 against Dr. Bill Clifford. It's from Garden City. Corrine Ray is from Lyons, Kansas, and is a registered nurse and seems to be a pretty moderate Republican that still has a bunch of Kansas common sense as well. So here's what she had to say about the Value Them Both amendment.
The way the language is written in Value Them Both kind of gives a carte blanche to the legislature to do whatever they want. And I think that government is already too involved in healthcare, and they need to stay out. I am profoundly pro-life, but I think that we need to manage that life the same as we would at the other end of the spectrum when they're dying. So if if a patient's really sick at the end of their life and they want to donate their body, then they have special consents for that. I think informed consent's great. I think notification of minors. But I think giving carte blanche permission to the legislature to make those kind of decisions is dangerous, considering my interactions with a lot of legislators this last 2 years has not been one where they listen. So we just need to be careful how we let government intervene between the doctor and patient relationship. The way the language is written in Value Them Both.
And that was Corrine Ray from Lyons, Kansas, running for Kansas U.S. House of Representatives, District 122. How would you respond to that, Zach, coming from a Republican in South Kansas?
I mean, clearly she has put some serious thought to this, and she speaks with facts and intelligence, and is not, most importantly, is not ignoring the fact that this isn't where it stops. This is where it starts. And she recognizes the fact that when you go to the doctor, the first thing the doctor does when he knock, he walks in the room, and what does he do? Very first thing, he shuts the door, or she shuts the door. But the point is, what's about to be discussed is nobody's business, and the decisions that are about to be made, we have to trust are the best decisions for that person. And doctors take an oath to do that, and we have to trust them to do that. That's why they go to all this schooling. So she's very aware of that, and I appreciate her comments, and I look forward to seeing her do well.
Yeah. She was really refreshing, I felt, for what we've seen out of the Western Kansas Republican Party. I thought she was really level-headed. She spoke to everybody. I don't agree with her on every issue, but she seems willing to work with people and listen. And, she's a registered nurse. She's on the ground. She helps people all the time. So, I think that's pretty important when we're considering voting for nominees in elections. And Corinne Ray is somebody that I feel should be in our government in one form of capacity or another. So John Wheeler is in a important race against Bob Lewis.
Yeah.
Bob Lewis. Bob Lewis is was born and raised in Garden City, I believe, and anyhow, he ended up leaving for college and lived in Los Angeles, New York, and recently, well, not even recently, 4 or 5 years ago, moved back to the Southwest Kansas area and has been here since. He's had some pretty high-profile cases, which I didn't know. He was one of the attorneys on the Epstein trial
Yeah, he was one of the prosecuting attorneys. He posts about it on his Facebook. And I didn't go through all of his updates and whatnot because I'll hear it eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was pretty intimately involved in that court case.
We want to see that list, Mr. Lewis. We want to see who was there.
More locally, you might also know him as one of the lawyers who helped the staff at Garden City Community College out their President Swender, who they found to be a tyrannical president of the college, and ruled with a religious iron fist, and so they helped them win their case on that. And I found it to be a very compelling, inspirational deal of how teachers can unite together to get something better for them. It doesn't have to be teachers being treated so small in every instance.
Correct. Yeah, our education system needs more support than ever. I know one of the big things is Kansas schools are fully funded. You hear that a lot, but in the back of my mind, I say, well, what about special education? Where are they at with special education? It's horrible, is where they're at. It's underfunded. We're short.
Yeah, we found enough money to run the school. Now we found an abundance of money, like Colorado did by legalizing cannabis so that they could fund all of their schools to an abundance and have brand new equipment every other year. And then they still had even more money and were able to help their homeless. And that's a whole other rant for a whole other show.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we'll definitely cover that down the road. Hopefully, if we have an audience and you guys stick with us, again, we want to thank you for being here on the Kent and Zach pilot episode. We don't have an intro. We don't have an outro. We don't have a lot of things right now. We just said, hey, let's do this thing. So it'll get better over time, and we'll have more things to do. But I do want to continue the conversation around value them both. And I want to play now what Representative John Wheeler had to say about the amendment.
I'm pro-life. I believe life begins at conception. I also recognize realities in the medical field. I will vote yes on that amendment, but I will tell you that if it passes, I am concerned when it gets to the House and the Senate with the arch right-wing leadership that immediately may bring to the floor a bill to ban abortion in the state of Kansas, as 16 other states have already done. Now, I don't agree with that. I think that there's health of mother. I think rape and incest. There are babies that are conceived that are being carried whose brain is outside of the skull. Of course, we need to look at medical abortions up. However, I don't like abortion being used as birth control, and I think that it is being used in that fashion now. If somebody is seeking an abortion, then I think that decision, with exception of medical emergencies for the mother, needs to be made before 16 weeks.
Bill.
Wow. What a coward. I mean, he's 100% right on, he has thought out that there are serious medical instances where it doesn't matter what anybody's opinion is, the baby's not going to make it. And the mother might not make it. And he's considered those things, and so he's not as hardline as some Republicans. But what did he say in the very beginning of that? I'm going to vote yes. What a fucking coward. What a fucking coward. You're against it, but you're going to vote for it anyway because that's what the party line tells you. And that's why the duopoly sucks.
Yes.
He knows he's red. He knows he has no choice because he'll never get elected again.
If he doesn't.
But no, and because of that, he's a fucking coward, and I hope he sees this.
You know, what he's talking about is House Bill 2746. House Bill 2746. Look it up. Kansas House Bill 2746. It's a horrible bill, guys. It is dead currently right now. It was introduced to the legislation in March during the last session. That's this year. And because of our constitutional amendment, it was dead. But it's just laying there. That doesn't mean it hasn't gone away. As soon as Value Them Both passes, House Bill 2746 will be on the floor, being debated, and more than likely passed in the state of Kansas. And we will have banned all abortions in the state of Kansas, joining the 16 other states in our union. That is what John Wheeler just told you is going to happen if you vote yes on Value Them Both.
But not only that, nobody who currently lives in a state that allows abortion is going to leave that state because that state allows abortion. They're going to keep fighting to ban it there. But people who live in a state that does ban abortion, and it was allowed before, they're going to leave. We are going to have a mass exodus of Kansas if this goes through. So it goes so much further than just forcing your Christian jihadism on somebody else. It goes so much further than that. It's going to hurt the economy, which is already struggling in Kansas. I believe 74% of all teachers are female. How many? And we are just announced today that we have the greatest shortage of teachers we've ever had in this state, ever. And you think we're going to be able to move any more here? No. Because that's terrifying to go to a state that doesn't respect your body. If you don't own your body, you don't own anything.
Yeah.
They can take literally anything. So why would they come here? No, we're going to lose 100,000 citizens, I would guess, at minimum over the next 5 years.
Yeah. And to finish our conversation, I'd like to backtrack a little bit on John Representative Wheeler and Zach's anger at the start of this segment about him, why he called him a hypocrite and why he is so disgusted and angry with him. Not only for stating that he's voting yes for amendment and then telling you why it's horrible, why you shouldn't vote for the amendment, he also claims to be a constitutionalist. Value Them Both is attacking Kansas's constitution.
Has anybody else noticed that what we're calling for by those who out on the right wing is governance by constitutional amendment? By golly, let's just pass a constitutional amendment and everything and concentrate all power on the third floor of the State House. It is absurd. The third floor of the State House can't make a decision in 90 days, let alone 30 minutes. So we begin by saying our government is constituted on the federal and state level, with the exception of a few states, of an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial. They are co-equal branches of government. What we have in trying to regulate an executive agency is to say, Governor, you don't have any power anymore. And I oppose that as a constitutional lawyer. That's just...
That's
And
it.
he's still a hypocrite. He gave that impassioned speech. He got fired up. And he doesn't get fired up very often. Like,
No.
he's a pretty calm guy. And he
I
got fired up in that speech, speaking against something he's voting for.
Yeah, and I mean, he really walked all over himself. But I do have to say, as an independent, I am forced to register with one of the two major parties if I want to participate in my democracy and choose whose name I'm going to see on a ballot down the road. Some say that's playing the lesser of two evils game. Zach won't play that game. He abstains. If he's not going to vote for you, if you're shit.
I vote for candidates. I don't vote against candidates.
That's correct.
If your candidate cannot give me something to vote for, then I abstain on principle. Because I, as a voter, am responsible for everything you do in office if I voted for you.
I like to play the game. But nonetheless, between John Wheeler and Bob Lewis, John Wheeler is definitely the candidate there to vote for. He is a politician. He's a lawyer. He does talk a lot. But he also, I think, knows more about Garden City and is closer connected to the people of Garden City, even though I don't agree with a lot of his choices or opinions. I think he's the better man for the job over Bob Lewis in this situation. But I believe Zach's abstaining.
Yeah, I believe it.
He's not.
I agree with you that it would be better to walk through a field of stickers instead of a field of glass. I understand. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Still not going to walk through the stickers.
No. And bottom line is we need to get more people running for office. My buddy Zach over here has tried it once, gave it a hell of a go. Didn't get much. It didn't get any support. I don't believe from the party he chose to run with, and I would have rather seen him run as an independent when he did run. My personal thought and feeling.
Well, when you're told you're going to be given help, and then you can't know that that's not true. You don't know it's a lie until it's proven.
And that'll be for another episode as well. Neither one of us are big on Biden. I hope he doesn't run again. God, I hope he doesn't run again. I don't want to see Trump's name on a ballot either. And if we do see Biden and Trump on a ballot, let's pray to God that the third party candidate is someone amazing and people finally aren't afraid to vote for somebody that is worth more than the.
If there is a third party candidate considering running, they need to consider running the entire time that the two other parties are running. That's the only way they're going to stand a chance. They always won't. Like, I think that was the big flaw in Orman. Orman didn't want to pop in there until after the primaries. Nobody knew who he was. He was just like, dude, we've been following this for 8 months. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking Greg Orman. He ran a great campaign and whatnot. But as an independent, the layman didn't know his name until it was too late. They had already decided.
Yeah. He did run previously in the cycle before for U.S. or Kansas senator out of Eastern Kansas and lost barely. I mean, just barely in that election, and then gave it a go the second one. For me, Greg Orman is what turned me completely onto politics. The independent movement,
and he's why I left a party. I left party leadership to be an independent and support him. And he's just the first candidate that comes to mind that I felt like came in after the primaries. You can say the same thing about Ross Perot. He ran a damn good campaign. He had been running the whole time.
Right.
I think he might have been able to actually push it over the edge. And so, yeah, if you're an independent and you're considering and you just happen to listen to this bullshit podcast, get your ass in gear and get to campaigning.
Absolutely. God dang it. We need people out there, normal, average, regular people that aren't fanatical. I'm going to leave it at that. Guys, this was our first show, our first pilot. We want to thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Like I said, we don't have an intro. We don't have an outro. It's just we didn't even have an outline for this show. This was live.
Get a little dance.
Raw. The clips we had, we cut out 20 minutes before this started. So we want to thank you so much for bearing with us and being here. I don't know when we're going to be back. If we do this once a week or once a month or maybe once a year, who knows? But this is the Kent and Zach show.
I can come up with a rant about any time.
Oh, I know. We'll be back. It's going to be painful for all of our haters out there. You activists, you. But thanks a lot, guys. Until next time.
Rock and roll.